Well, Laura Mignott is the creator and host of the Reset podcast and CEO of the event marketing firm D-Flash. Laura, I hope I haven't mispronounced your surname. If I have, I apologize in advance. But what can you tell us about the bias trading in terms of who's doing it and how it's being done?
Oh, thanks very much. And you did a great job with my last name. Today's bias training was actually convened with Sherilyn Ifill from the NAACP, Heather McGhee from Demos, Eric Holder, our former Attorney General, and a host of other well-known luminaries who actually have great standing with regard to race relations across the country.
The bottom line, though, is do you think this anti-bias training will move the needle and address institutionalized racism in America?
I think it's a fantastic start. There was a lot of early criticism that was coming in regarding what and who Starbucks was going to bring into the conversation. And I think the thought process was they were going to use the same boring corporate trainers who, don't have any real life practical experience. But because of the fact that they went with people like Sherilyn Ifill, who for years who's fought racism in the courts as well as in the streets, allows people to actually feel that there's a great degree of confidence in the type of training that they were going to bring to forward today. So I think it's a fantastic start, and we're hoping that this will actually make the conversation be something that not just happens at Starbucks, but happens at other corporations before they have an incident.
And you mentioned that this is a start. Howard Schultz, from former CEO of Starbucks, says the company will take this issue head on. What do you think is next for Starbucks? What's going to happen now?
Well, I think for Starbucks, it's one day of training doesn't solve things. So I think it's going to have to be something that's become far more ingrained across the corporate culture. So I would hope that now going forward that these sorts of trainings and conversations are not just a one-day thing that happens for 3 hours, but are something that goes across corporate training, is endemic with all their manuals, and these summits of conversation do happen throughout the year.
Let's move to some breaking news now that's coming out of the entertainment industry. The reboot of Roseanne was just cancelled. What can you tell us about this?
So this morning, Roseanne Barr went on a little bit of a tweet storm, and she decided to go after Valerie Jarrett, who was a former senior advisor to President Obama, and made a outwardly completely racist statement in comparison with regard to Valerie Jarrett. And as a result, Twitter lit up. She's been trending all day. There have been calls for boycotts. Literally everyone from her fellow co-stars like Sarah Gilbert saying her wording was repugnant came after her very quickly and very harshly, and ABC did the right thing by canceling the show.
Is there a sense, though, that in spite of the fact that she tweeted what was clearly a racist statement that ABC described as abhorrent, that perhaps ABC acted too swiftly?
You know what it was? This was an ethical and a monetary decision. Ethically, I think ABC decided to put a land in the sign and said that this is not something they're going to stand for, that this type of conduct by people who they're paying will not stand, and therefore they had to move quickly. And then also from a monetary side of the universe, yes, her show was #1, but when looking at the totality of ABC, Disney, all the properties that are owned by this network, it's not worth it to essentially have millions of people potentially boycotting your brand.
So it's not your sense then that from a business point of view, this was not a very smart decision?
Well, I think from a business point of view, you look at the landscape of what ABC as a network has. They've got Blackish, they've got Fresh Off the Boat, Modern Family, a whole host of shows that are diverse, show really unique families, and they all play to unique audiences. And if they're going to essentially try and advertise and market to these audiences, to have one show that has a star that is blatantly racist doesn't make good business sense, because then you're going to face potential boycotts. Well, who knows what would happen with the stars of their other shows? Maybe they wouldn't want to walk away from ABC. So for them, as a business decision, the audience that Roseanne has was solid, but it wasn't something that's going to get bigger. It was only going to get smaller. So when you look at dollars and cents, it only made sense for them to move on.
Okay, Laura, I want to thank you exceedingly for coming on the program. Laura is, of course, the CEO of the experience agency D-Flash.